Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today, Jan and I are in Northern Ireland, and our special guest today is Johnny Blair. And Johnny, you want to tell a little bit about your operation here? We just moved, or you just moved a group of your steers and yearlings, finishers, and what you got going on here?
So these guys here behind us are sort of a mixture of yearlings and 2-year-olds. So there's a small group of ones in there. We hope to finish off grass now in the back end. They're generally all of a stabilizer breed, which is a breed maybe some of you are familiar with. And then there's a huge Angus influence on them as well. So hopefully that should encourage them to finish off grass easier. So there's a group of 65, I think, in here, and we're just rotating them around. They had been on like red clover multi-species sort of chicory lays for a long time. Now they've just come on to the next hay paddock, so that's where they are now. They're very curious as to why there's 2 Americans in a field.
A different accent.
Yeah, they're really wild cattle, Johnny.
Yeah.
Well, we were on the previous paddock. You've been on this. This is a hay. You cut hay off of this field in June.
Yep.
And so it's been regrown since, but you're giving them a strip of grass each day, and this was a permanent, you call it lay, I'd call it a permanent pasture for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's wet out here, folks, and these are fairly good sized cattle. I mean, there's some in here that's gonna weigh, the older ones are probably 1,400, but you got your size, you're trying to get your size down, and you can see it on these black ones. There's some really nice steers in here that I would say are in that 900 to 1,000 pound range.
Yeah.
And they're thick. They got a really nice rump on them, and they're just thick all the way through. So
Yeah.
I think you're going the right way.
I like to think they're healthy.
Yeah, they are healthy. They look good. They look good. And you know, we were Jan and I were looking at what we call the death triangle, which would be the sunken in part on the left-hand side of the animals, and we didn't see any in there. So he's feeding them good. They're getting about the right amount of forage, and this is really high quality forage.
Yeah.
See, in America, our forage gets lignified because of the heat. You don't have to worry about.
We don't have to have that. That's our unique advantage, isn't it? We're coming up with so many now. We're going to have to write down a list. I'm going to have to argue against them. But no, it is. I mean, we are very fortunate to always have quality grass because they're all cool seasons. We're not warm enough to have warm season, so. The only warm season grass is maize under plastic.
So what kind of grasses are in here?
So that's mostly, most of the grass in this country is perennial ryegrass because years and years of successive breeding of grasses and seeding of grasses has led to this. There's Timothy in here, which I think is a brilliant grass. I love Timothy. And through doing this type of grazing, we're starting to see cocksfoot come in, or orchard grass.
Orchard grass.
And it's a prime mover, and it's a brilliant grass. Because perennial ryegrass is a terrible root system. It's about that deep. So in a wet climate, it's terrible because it can't do anything with the soil. Whereas the cocksfoot and some fescues that we are starting to see coming in, slowly, but the fescues are coming. They have much better root systems.
So you think those were in the soil bank?
Yeah, definitely. And I think anything in the soil bank is much better than anything you can buy in a bag.
Yeah.
It's night and day.
Yeah.
So it is.
Well, you know, when you can hold your animals up on your pasture when it's been raining like it has here, I mean, you've been getting a lot of rain.
Yeah.
You're grazing out here, and a lot of people have their animals up in what I would call a barn because it's too wet to put the animals out.
Yeah.
They're going to punch a hole that deep.
Yeah. And we have had a really cold summer. So basically the whole of August was cold and wet, so we grew very, very little grass.
Yep.
But because we have that big bank of grass ahead of the cattle, they're always there to something to eat. Whereas if a lot of people operate a just-in-time grass-based system, so they need to have grass for the next, say, 10 days, 2 weeks. And if you have a terrible week or 2 weeks and you've grown no grass, all of a sudden you've got no grass to feed your cattle, so you're done. So you have to go and feed them silage or hay or put them in a shed. Or
that costs money.
It costs a lot of money.
And the health.
And the health.
The health of the animals.
And the stress. I mean, they're going from a completely different, going from a grass-based diet to predominantly in this country a silage-based diet. And they're two different feeds.
Yep.
You know, they might be made of grass, but it's a fermented grass. It's
Mhm.
used to, so
So the gut microbes have to get switched over
yeah.
to eating silage when they have been eating green grass. Yeah.
So they go in for a couple or 3 weeks and they come back out again and they've basically done nothing because their guts are just going, what are you giving me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me my grass and be done with it.
So what's the plan with these guys and girls?
So hopefully a proportion of them will go fat to the abattoir now. This sort of in the next month or so. I'm hoping for that. The rest of them will be wintered over
Outside? As much as possible?
as much as possible. We're going to try and extend it as much as possible. So we're going to do a wee bit of bale grazing maybe with them as well, and try and we're looking for small incremental gains every year. So I don't want to kick the baby with the bathwater entirely out of the system. I want to try and progress every year because I don't want to scare other family members. If I said, right, we're not going to cut any hay or silage this year and we're just going to stockpile it all, that would be quite a mindset change for a lot of people, myself included. So you're looking for that wee bit of extension every year, and then that'll give you the confidence to maybe make bigger steps again and again and again. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice, because Ian, our friend from South Africa, that helps us with our grading school each year, he said when you make a major change on your farm, it's stress.
Yeah.
It's stress on you, it's stress on the land. So he said in Africa, to catch a monkey, he uses this phrase, to catch a monkey, you got to go really slow.
Yeah.
And he said when you make changes on your farm, you should do the same thing. That way it's not as stressful on you.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't take his advice. He told me to put all my cattle together slowly. I had 3 herds, and he said, now do this over a month, you know.
Yeah.
And Ian left at 10 o'clock in the morning. I had them all together by noon. And he's like, you don't listen very well, chap. I'm like, yeah, but it was the best thing we ever did.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a little bit about your landscape in the background. I thought when we first got here, we were looking at the ocean.
Mhm.
That's an inlet that comes out of
Yeah. So that's a tidal inlet. So straight out over there is the Atlantic Ocean. So if you give a big wave, you'll see all your friends in America and Canada. And then if you come in, this is an inlet. It's called the Loch Foyle, and it's basically quite a shallow inlet. And all of this area down below us, at one point or another, used to be all wetlands, and it's now reclaimed farmland. So it's they measure topsoil there in meters, not in inches.
Wow.
So it's incredibly fertile, but again, it's been cropped out, and it's just getting to a stage where it could really do with a bit more health. But yeah, so we're sitting.
What's that big mountain?
Yeah, for those
So-
who are into...
Yeah, so that's a mountain called Benevna, and if you know what Game of Thrones is or you're interested in, a lot of it was filmed in that mountain.
The Game of Thrones is filmed over
Yeah,
there.
a lot of it was filmed in that mountain. And I know a farmer that used to get a job in a tractor and trailer, and he used to cart the film crew up the mountain in a tractor and trailer.
Oh,
So he got paid quite well to do that. Yeah.
that's a pretty good gig.
Yeah. So and then we're on the side of a hill looking down, and we are about between 500 and 600 feet up and above sea level here, so it rises quite steep actually from the sea level there.
Okay.
Um,
So you're probably 10 miles from the ocean,
yeah, roughly.
from the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, from the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah.
So that, which is like way
Folks,
there.
the swallows, we haven't talked about the swallows. You've got swallows all over this. And you say, now here in Ireland, your swallows go back to Africa.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's where the migratory is.
And in the United States, ours go back to South America.
Yeah.
But
That's
this
a
is
long ways to Africa. Is a good jag from here.
It's a good wee trip, as they would say.
but this is the most we've seen. We've seen some at other farms, but this is the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool they've come out to say hello.
Yeah. Well, Johnny, appreciate your time with us and showing us your farm. Johnny's been a wonderful host. We had a wonderful dinner with him last night and his family, and get to meet your little girls and your wife, and it was just a wonderful evening, and we appreciate that.
No problem at all. You're very welcome.
The hospitality was, and the food. He's a quite good cook, by the way. So you really knocked it out of the park. So anyway, we're gonna get out of here, folks. We'll see you next time, and hit that subscribe button on the way out. Take care.